Good afternoon. Welcome to the City of Madeira Beach Code Enforcement hearing. My name is Bart Valdez, and I am the appointed special magistrate to hear today's cases. I'm a practicing attorney and have been a member of the Florida Bar for over 20 years. I've been appointed to this position in accordance and with the authority set forth in Chapter 162 Florida statutes. It is my role to fairly and objectively review the matters presented. As such, I would like to advise you of certain matters related to today's proceedings. Today's matters will be heard in the order that they appear on the agenda. Every effort will be made to hear all persons having relevant evidence, argument, or comments to offer related to the specific case that is being heard. If you wish to speak today, it is necessary that you be sworn in by the city attorney in just a few moments. In all cases, since the city has the burden of proof, the city will present its case first. The respondent or property owner then will be given the opportunity to refute the city's allegations. Formal rules of evidence do not apply to this proceeding. However, I will exert every effort to ensure that fundamental fairness is afforded to all parties. After hearing all relevant evidence, I will issue an order. The order will be reduced to writing, and you will be provided with a copy by mail. Therefore, please make sure that we have your current address. Additionally, you are advised that I do not have the authority to grant you a variance, permit, or special exception of any kind. My role is solely to determine whether a city code has been violated and to provide you a reasonable time to correct the violation by whatever means is available to you. Please be advised that you may be subject to a fine and a lien may be recorded on your property if the violation is not corrected by the compliance deadline. If you wish to present any information to me today, it is necessary that you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth. Therefore, at this time, I ask that the city attorney swear in all witnesses.
Anyone's going to speak, if you'd stand up, raise your right hand, and be sworn under oath. Swear the testimony you're about to give today is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
All right, the first case I have on the agenda today is case number 2021.3371 for the property located at 352 145th Avenue East. Is the city ready to proceed?
We are.
Go ahead, Mr. Trask.
I have two witnesses today. First, I'm going to call Mr. Pinkard, Holden Pinkard. Sir, you have been sworn in on this particular property. Can you tell us how it came to your attention here at the City of Madeira Beach, 352 145th Avenue East?
This was a proactive case. We do routine inspections over there for the construction of the building, and there are several issues over there that came about just during inspection.
Is that part of your job responsibility to determine whether there is a violation of the city code?
Yes.
Okay. In this particular property, did you determine who the actual property owner is?
Yes, Green Meadows Investment, LLC.
Okay. And how did you determine the owner's name on this particular property?
The property appraiser and the tax collector.
In the packet that has been provided to the special magistrate, there is also a packet available to the public, I assume. Is there a packet available to the public today?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so I want you to turn to page 3 of the packet and tell me if you can explain what that page 3 of the packet reflects.
That's the Pinellas County Property Appraiser property card, showing the ownership, mailing address, and other property details.
Okay, and is that the second page on page 4, is that part of the same website review or
yes.
printout? Okay. And then if you could tell us what is reflected on pages 5 and 6 in the packet.
That is the Pinellas County tax collector, and just another way to identify the property owner and mailing address.
Okay, with this proactive case, did you send a notice of code violation to the property owner?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to turn to page 7 of the packet. There's a letter dated August 10th, 2021. Is this the first notice of code violation sent to the property owner?
Yes.
Okay, and in this particular code violation notice, what did it cite were the violations?
Section 14-69, maintenance of the exterior, and specifically subsection 7, water shall not be allowed to collect, stand, or accumulate on private property, so as to constitute a breeding ground for mosquitoes and other insects.
Okay, there were other code sections that were cited in the very beginning. Those code sections are now in compliance, specifically 1469, paren 1.
Correct.
Okay. But the property owner was also cited with other code violations, correct?
Yes.
And what were those?
Section 70-197, illicit discharge, and Section 110-719, fencing, and that relates to swimming pool fences and the requirements for those.
Okay, so when was your first review of the property or inspection of the property? This letter is dated August 10th.
It was August 10th.
Okay. When you went out to the property, did you meet the property owner there?
No, the property is still under construction. No one was on site.
Okay. When you sent this first letter of August 10th, was it sent by regular and certified mail?
The first notice was sent certified mail.
Okay. And was it sent to the property owner listed at the tax collector and property appraiser's records?
Yes.
Okay. Page 10 of the packet, does that reflect the green card that was sent with this letter itself?
Yes.
And in the letter of August 10th, did you ask the property owner to do certain things?
To mow all the vegetation below 6 inches, the garbage, trash, and debris throughout the property need to be removed. The sediment in the street need to be swept, and the erosion control need to be installed, and then standing water in the pool needed to be removed.
Okay. Did you get a response to this letter of August 10th?
No.
Did you send another letter?
Yes.
Okay, and I want you to turn to the packet at page 11. There is a letter dated August 30th. Is this the second notice of code violation that you sent?
Yes.
And was it citing the same code violations as the previous letter?
Yes.
And were you asking for the property owner to do the same things that you had done in the previous letter?
Yes.
Did you give a date for that to come into compliance?
September 13th, 2021.
Did it come into compliance by that date?
No.
Okay. Did you also send that letter by certified mail?
Yes.
Okay. There are some photographs taken of the property in the packet starting at page 15. I would like you to go through, I'm going to have you go through some of the photographs and Mr. DeSantis go through other photographs, but I'd like you to look at the photographs starting at page 15, and if you could go through them and explain in each photograph what you're trying to depict in the photographs.
So page 15 just shows the curb that's filled with sand where there needs to be some form of sediment control. 16 shows a part of the standing water in the pool and the temporary pool fence that's fallen down. 17 shows more of the same. And then 18 is a better picture of the pool and the standing water. 19 as well. And then 20, you can see all the sediment running off the site into the street and then eventually into the storm drain. And then I think 21 is where the building officials' pictures start.
Okay, we'll come back to those then in just a few minutes, but I want to talk to you about the other notices that were sent. So let's skip back in the packet to page 35, if we can, please. Are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So on page 35 in the packet, it's titled at the top, Special Magistrate Affidavit of Service. Can you explain, first of all, the date of this letter and what this affidavit is saying?
It's dated September 16th, and it states that I mailed a copy of the notice of hearing via certified mail, return receipt, and first-class mail, as well as posting the property and City Hall.
Okay, and what did you post at the City Hall and at the property?
The notice of hearing.
Okay. Did you take a photograph of that posting?
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to get to that photograph in a minute then. It's not following the notice, so we'll come back to that. So did you also issue a special magistrate statement of violation and request for hearing, also dated September 16th, 2021 at page 37 in the packet?
Yes.
And you're advising the property owner as to the violations similar to the first two courtesy letters that you had sent him?
Correct.
Had you been out to the property on September 16th to see whether or not the violation still existed as of that date?
Yes.
Okay, and were they still in existence as of that date?
Yes.
Okay. All right, if you could turn then to page 39 in the packet, the notice of hearing, that's the notice of hearing for today's hearing?
Yes.
And was it sent by certified mail as well?
Yes.
Okay. Then if you could turn to page... Is it 43, the first photograph?
That's the posting of the notice of hearing on the property.
And when did you post that? Was it on the 16th?
Yes.
Okay. And these other photographs following are photographs that were taken by the building official as well?
Correct.
Okay. Have you heard from any neighbors making any complaints about this particular property, or was it all proactive work?
We have received complaints, I believe, in the past for this property, but not for this specific case.
Okay. All right, those are all the questions I have for you. I do have other questions for Mr. DeSantis when cross-examination is done.
All right, is anyone here today on behalf of Green Meadow Farms Investments LLC, or anybody here on behalf of the property owner? You're the property owner? All right, come on up, sir. Sir, what is your name?
Paul Douglas Kukin.
Paul, and I'm sorry I didn't catch the last name.
Kukin. It's
How do you spell that?
Kuiken.
All right. Mr. Kukin, I'm going to give you a chance in just a few minutes to present any information you want to present to me, show me documents, testimony, whatever. However, at this point in the proceeding, you have the right to cross-examine, meaning ask Mr. Pinkard some questions about what he testified to. You don't have to if you don't want to, but this is your opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Pinkard. So if you have any questions for him, please go ahead now.
The certified letters. First of all, the residence is a second residence. I haven't been there in probably about 3 months, so I apologize. Did you get a signed certified return? Because nobody's there to receive those letters. And I don't think you have.
I don't know if there's one in here that I typically, if we return them and they're unable to forward, I'll scan it and throw it in here.
So
but the only thing I would suggest is just making sure the property appraiser has a proper mailing address.
Right. Is there any chance that you could have emailed that? You have my email, correct?
I'm sorry?
You have my email, correct?
I do.
Did you ever email me?
No.
Okay. So I apologize. I wasn't there to get them, so I didn't know anything about this. In fact, I only found out Friday when another contractor was was going to turn over the contract to them or looking at other contractors. So just as of Friday, this was dropped on me. So I apologize. I do have some information though for you that'll help.
All right, I'm going to give you a full opportunity to tell me everything you want in just a moment. Do you have any other questions for Mr. Pinkard?
Did you talk to the contractor and get an email to them or contact them, and did they respond and say that everything was taken care of?
I believe that they've contacted us a few times for like a inspection related to the home, and some things are taken care of. As you know, project has been taken quite some time, and it's been a regular issue. Some of the issues there have been pretty regular.
Oh, yeah.
But they have reached out as far as inspections. I know there are some things that they did to make corrections, but other than that.
Because they were responsible for everything as far as getting all that taken care of. And I've got emails to you that they were going to wrap things up, have it taken care of. And I didn't know if you saw those or received them. So,
to my knowledge, the most recent inspection was done on Friday. It passed, so technically the permit is open, which is a good thing.
It passed.
I'm sorry?
Everything's taken care of?
There was a separate building inspection, not related to just these issues, just related to an inspection on the home.
Which was what?
An insulation inspection.
Okay. But everything
that passed, so that's a good thing. So the permit's active. It's not an expired issue or anything like that.
Okay.
But that's all I know about that.
Okay. Because they did clean up only the past couple of days. They didn't take care of the pool, which in an email just recently, they're trying to say the pool is a separate permit and not their responsibility, which I'm having trouble understanding that since they're doing the construction on the property. So that's the one area of concern, but we'll get that fixed. That's pretty much, I got more to say. That was all. I just want to make sure you guys knew. I just found out about this Friday and would like to ask for more time to get things taken care of.
Yeah, and we spoke on Friday, and, yeah.
Late Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, sir, have a seat. The city's going to call another witness, and then you're going to be able to cross-examine that witness, and then it's going to be your turn to come back up and tell me everything you want to tell me.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mr. Trask, who do you want to call next?
Mr. DeSantis, please. Mr. DeSantis, you're the building official for the city, correct?
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been the building official for the city?
Just over 8 years.
It's your responsibility to make sure the projects are moving along and being inspected throughout the city, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This particular project, you're aware of it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in fact, you've been out to the property on a number of occasions, correct?
Yes, sir.
How long has this building permit been open?
I believe about 3 years next month.
How long does it normally take to build a home in the city of Madeira Beach?
1 year.
Okay. So has this property been a problem property for the past 3 years then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The photographs that are in the packet, I'd like you to take a look at. I have some questions about those. Starting at page 21, sir, if you take a look at that. These are photographs 21 through 34 photographs that you had taken.
Yes, sir.
If you could go through those by page and explain what each one of these photographs depict that you took.
Yes, sir. Page 21 is a picture of the pool off the rear second floor deck. When I was doing an inspection out there, I took that picture of the standing water within the pool and the construction fence down around the pool. Page 22.
Let me stop you right there. I've got a couple questions about that. How deep would you say the water is estimated?
I'm looking at it this morning, probably 3 feet deep, if not more.
Okay. And is that one of the code violations, the half-filled pool or partially filled pool?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me about the fence, this orange fence that's around the property. Is that an appropriate fence to protect the pool under construction?
Yes, sir. It's a 4-foot construction fence. That's the minimum requirement by the Florida statutes, and that's what was installed initially, but was not maintained.
Okay. Is it in violation now, this fence around the pool?
Yes.
And can you explain why?
I was out there this morning to follow up on some pictures, and I verified this morning in some other pictures that the fence is still down.
The fence has to be upright, and it has to protect the pool in its entirety and not down like in this photograph, correct?
Yes, sir. Okay. Per the Florida statutes, it's got to be minimum 48 inches.
Okay, if you could turn then to page 22, the photograph there, and explain what that photograph depicts.
Page 22 is a picture of the front curb and the silt and sod and dirt that's coming off the front of the property into the storm gutters and into the storm grate.
All right, so before we move off of that picture, the grate on the right side of the photograph, is that the city stormwater system?
Yes, sir.
And does the water pitch that direction and carry the sediment that direction?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long has that been going on, approximately?
Off the top of my head, I'd have to say at least 6 months.
Okay. If you could move the next photograph then, please.
Next photograph is a picture, the opposite picture from the west end of the property facing the east end. And again, the same thing with the excessive dirt and sand silt off the front of the property into the curb.
What is the appropriate way to keep this sand from leaving the property?
There's a couple different things you can do. Some folks take a silt fence and they'll put it all the way around the property. Other folks, because of limited parking, they want to park on the property. You can have bales of hay across the front of the property. You could put temporary sod, a minimum 2 feet wide or deep, around the front of the property to stop all storm drainage from moving any water or anything out into the street.
Okay. If you could go to the next photograph then, page 24.
Page 24 was a picture of the west side of the building, showing the debris, some debris out in the front, and showing the railing on the west side of the building with no safety handrails or no railing at the top of the platform. And, I'm sorry, and an open trench for the sewer system out of the building.
Okay. Next photograph, page 25.
The next photograph is a picture of the front of the house, and it is showing some construction debris in the front. It's also showing no railing across the second floor balcony, and it's also showing loose roof tiles on top of that roof on the second floor balcony.
Okay, next photograph, page 26.
Next photograph is the the east corner of the property, and it's showing an open 3-inch sewer line along with metal construction debris on the corner of the property.
Okay, page 27.
Page 27 is a corner shot, front and east side of the building corner shot showing construction material in the front of the property, missing balcony on the second floor, open exposed sewer pipe on the east side of the building, and excessive conduit or wires hanging out of the side of the building.
Okay, page 28.
28 is almost the same shot, just a closer view of the east side of the building, showing the conductive wires hanging out of the side of the building, open sewer on the ground trench, and excessive vegetation along the side of the building, and missing railings on both the second and third floors on the back balconies.
Okay, page 29.
Page 29, this is the elevator shaft in the first level garage with material, debris within the elevator shaft itself.
Page 30.
Page 30 is an inside picture facing out towards the front of the house, showing the main gates or doors with construction debris right behind them on the grade level, first level.
Page 31.
Page 31 is construction debris in the smaller garage. There's two of them, a double and a single, and this is construction debris in the single garage facing the front of the house, and debris in the front yard.
Okay. Page 32.
Page 32 is the other garage, two-car garage with excessive construction debris throughout.
But there's material here on this photograph other than construction material, correct?
Yes, there's a lot
garbage, trash, debris.
Yes, a lot of debris throughout there, and it's not safe for an inspector, my contracted inspectors, anybody to go on site because of that.
Okay, photograph 33 or page 33.
Page 33 is a picture inside the two-car garage facing the street, and would be the east corner of the property, showing the debris out in the property, including the construction materials.
Okay, and page 34.
And 34 is, again, within that same two-car garage facing the west side of the front property, showing excessive construction materials in the front yard.
These photographs were taken approximately when? The photographs that you were just reviewing for me?
The majority of them were taken this morning. Is that right?
I'm going to get to the photographs taken this morning, but these were dated earlier. Actually, the photographs that I have that Holden had taken were taken back in August.
Yeah, some were taken in August, some were taken last week during a couple inspections, couple failed inspections last week also.
I just want to make sure I got the timing right, because there's questions about that. So I want to go over the photographs that were taken this morning. If you could turn to then the photograph that follows page 43. So I believe it's marked 44 down on the bottom right-hand corner.
Yes, sir. That's a picture of the front of the property on the east corner with the silt fence installed around the porta potty and on the property, but not across the front of the property.
Okay, you took these photographs today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so the photographs that we're talking about now, which is page 44 through, I'm going to get the last one so we're all on the same page. Looks like 59. These were all photographs that you had taken today, correct?
Is that me? Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so if you could go through them, then we've talked about page 44. Let me talk to you about that, first of all, before we leave that photograph. Obviously, the silt fence has been added in the last couple of days, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but it's not across the front of the property.
No.
And there are not, the other two items that you would suggest would be possible sediment barriers, the hay bales and the sod. Those have not been installed either, correct?
Yes, sir.
So this open area, this does not meet code, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so make right. You said yes, sir. Does it meet code or does it not meet code?
I'm sorry, it does not meet code.
Okay, all right. All right, if we could turn then to the next page, which is 45, photograph on page 45.
That's a picture of the west side of the property with a silt fence partially down and an open section of silt fence onto the neighbor's property.
Okay. Next, 46, I guess it is.
Yeah, the next picture, 46, is the west side of the building, showing the trench backfilled in partially and showing the two doors open with the stairwell on the side with handrails across the stairwell.
Okay, so they've added stairwell handrails in the last few days then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's really not a code violation that we're seeking today, though. That was with relative to proper inspection of the ongoing construction, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, if you could turn to the next photograph then. Looks like the pool in the backyard again.
Yes, it's the pool in the backyard with the excessive amount of water and the construction fence down all around it.
Okay.
And the next picture is pretty much the same picture.
Okay.
I got it in there. And the next picture is a picture from the back dock facing the back rear of the building, showing the excessive vegetation back there, the silt or the construction fence down around the pool, and a partial silt fence missing on the right side against that lattice, white lattice fence. Neighbors.
Are they required to have the silt fence across the back of the seawall as well?
Yes, they are, depending on how much vegetation is there. You have to have a minimum of 2 feet of vegetation. If you don't have 2 feet of solid vegetation, then you need a silt fence.
Okay. You can go to the next photograph then.
Next photograph is a closer view of the west rear of the house, the west wall or west side, showing that missing silt fence on the lattice work of the fence itself and the excessive vegetation.
Next, looks like the front of the house again.
Yes, this is the rear of the house, the second and third floor.
Oh, rear, okay.
Yes, showing the handrails are in place. The one handrail on the third floor is kind of floating in the corner. I don't think that's too safe, but the attempt was there.
Okay, I've noticed in the bottom left-hand corner of some of these photographs, it shows a date of July 9th, 2021. That obviously that date is incorrect then.
Right, when the picture was printed, it's the 27th day of the 9th month.
Oh, it was cut off then?
Yes.
The 2 was cut off, okay.
Yes.
Military, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, if you can go to the next picture then.
Yes, the next picture is the pool itself with the excessive amount of water within the pool. And again, the construction fence is down around the majority of the pool. Next picture is pretty much the same shot, but a little bit towards the east.
Okay.
And the next picture is on the east side of the house, facing the back west corner of the house, showing the construction fence down, or the majority of it down around the pool, and the excessive vegetation.
Okay. Next photograph.
Next photograph is a two-car garage facing the front of the house, showing the debris within the garage, the construction debris throughout the garage, and the construction debris, throughout the garage. The next photo is the single-car garage on the west side of the building, again showing the construction debris on the floor of the garage. And the next photo is a picture of the front of the house, showing the silt and the sand, everything coming out to the gutter, with no silt barrier or any protection across the front of the house. And it's also showing the second floor balcony with a railing across that. And it's also showing all the loose tile that is above that roof on that second floor.
Okay, next.
Next photo is a piece of loose tile hanging off that same balcony roof on the second floor. That entire roof has roof tiles stacked across it, ready to be installed. And the last picture is a picture of the west side of the house from the neighbor's property in the front, showing the doors, the hand railing installed up on the second floor down to the main floor, and the trench partially backfilled and excessive vegetation. That's it.
All right, thank you. I just have a couple more questions about the violations themselves. So Mr. Pinkert had testified that Section 14-69, maintenance of exterior of premises, subparagraph 1 was in compliance. Subparagraph 7 is not in compliance. That meaning that the water shall not be allowed to collect, stand, or accumulate on private property so as to constitute a breeding ground for mosquitoes and other insects. That's the pool being referenced there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and as for Section 70-197, illicit discharges, where it says, except as set forth in subsection C of this section, or whereas in accordance with the valid DES permit, any discharge of the stormwater system that is not composed entirely of stormwater is prohibited. That's with regard to all the sand leaving the property into the stormwater system, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then lastly, Section 110-719, fencing. All swimming pools shall be enclosed with a screen enclosure or a fence or a wall having a minimum height of 4 feet. And in compliance with the provisions of Article 6, Division 3 of this chapter, the fence, wall, or door to the screen enclosure shall be equipped with a self-closing and self-latching gate, which operates from the interior of the swimming pool area only. And then the definition, I guess, of swimming pool means any structure located in a residential area that is intended for swimming or recreational bathing and contains water over 24 inches deep, including but not limited to in-ground, above-ground, and on-ground swimming pools, hot tubs, and non-portable spas. That violation is in relation to the fence being down around the pool, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I have no other questions of Mr. DeSantis. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Kukin, you can come forward, and this is your opportunity to ask questions of Mr. DeSantis about anything that he testified to. Again, you don't have to ask questions. I'm going to give you a chance in just a few minutes to tell me anything you want to tell me. But if you want to ask or cross-examine this witness, you can go ahead and do so.
Good time. No, everything's accurate with the pictures. A lot of it's been corrected. I could probably give you a lot more information, but you just want me to ask him about the pictures?
You don't have to ask him anything if you
Okay.
want. This is just your opportunity to ask him questions if you want. And again, I'm going to give you a chance in just a minute to tell me
Okay.
anything you'll want to tell me
Yeah.
directly. So this is just if you want to ask him questions.
No, good job.
Okay. All right. Mr. Trask, anyone else from the city?
No, but I'd like to tender into evidence the packet that we've been referring to, which is pages 3 through 59.
All right. We'll go ahead and accept in as Exhibit 1 to the hearing, pages 3 through 59 of the agenda packet.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Trask, I'll give you a chance to do closings in just a few minutes. All right, sir, come on forward. It's your opportunity to tell me anything you want to tell me about the property, the violation, or anything along those lines.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Actually, this is good. I'm glad we're doing this because the house has been a stressful, difficult construction project on me for the past almost 4 years, and these guys know that as well. GHD got the contract and just totally has delayed, dragged, blamed everything on everything else, windows, whatever they can say is somebody else's fault. And I have been trying to push them. I'm in contract. They have done this to other home builders as well. I'm in contact with them. There's other legal suits against them. And I actually have emails from them saying these will be taken care of. That's why they got one of you guys here, that everything will be taken care of. This is on the 10th next week. He'll take care of everything. And they didn't. So I was trusting them I saw an email from the original, I think. I was trusting them to take care of all the issues they have in the past. I expected them to do the same, but they didn't this time. With that said, as of today, my lawyers sent them an email, a notification that they are fired, if you want to call it that way. And we're searching, I'm right now in the middle of searching for new contractors to take over and to get the property up to speed. It's probably going to take a little time for me to, I can get out there and do some of the things to get them up to code. I apologize, especially you guys have to look at it. So with that, I can either give you the emails showing that I did try, was concerned about the codes from a while back to David Ronaldo, and he said that he actually said that there's permits, I'm sorry, that you passed code, the windows passed code and all that stuff, and I said, what's going on with these code violations? And he says they wouldn't have all passed if we didn't get past code. That was his email. So that was back in August. And then I sent him another email, or I saw another email to Frank that says that everything would be taken care of last week. And he didn't do it. So that's that case. I can give you the letter that was sent to the GHD Construction, if you'd like, from my attorney to him that was sent out today. And my attorney had asked me just to request that I have more time to get a general contractor together to be able to get everything back up to code, and we'll take it from there. And I apologize to the city and the neighbors for having to deal with this for the past 4 years already.
All right, well, I'm happy to look at what you want me to see. Just show it to Mr. Trask first.
The emails from them important regarding to that they were going to take care of things?
Well, here's what the city has alleged, and they've shown me pictures of everything through today. So there's 3 main issues that are going on with your property from a code enforcement perspective, as I understand the evidence. Number 1, it's that you have overgrown vegetation and issues that need to be cleaned up on the property. Number 2, your silt fence isn't going all around, and so as a result of that silt fence not going all around and not having any sort of ground cover, there is dirt and stuff that's coming off your property going in the stormwater system. And then the third issue is that's of, I'm sure, great concern to the city is you have an open pool that doesn't have a fence around it. So children, animals could get in there, and that's, I'm sure, of great concern to the city. And so those are the 3 things that the city has brought before me today, and the fact that you have water accumulating in that swimming pool that is also a health risk because of mosquitoes breeding it and everything. Those are the only issues that are before me today, and those are the things that, you know, if I find there's a violation, you're going to have to get corrected. So the other things that were pointed out, or the other issues you have with the contractor, I'm happy to look at it, but the only 3 issues before me are whether or not your property is in violation of those specific code provisions.
Sure. And with me getting rid of the contractor, I am now fully responsible. I'll have to get another contractor in place. I'll take care of those issues as needed. I'm sure you guys will let me, if I get electric cut off, I can plug in a pump. You all right? To pump the water out? Yes? Okay, they were good at that, about doing that. And then the fence, I want to ask, is that something I can just erect back up and that will take care of the problem?
Hold on a second, Frank, don't answer that question.
Let's do this. Mr. Trask, do you have any objection to this letter coming in as Respondents Exhibit 1?
No, I have no objection to that being received into evidence.
Okay. Sir, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and accept your letter in as Respondents Exhibit number 1. So I have read that. The chance to ask questions of witnesses has already occurred. So, but if there's anything else you want to tell me, this is your opportunity to tell me anything else you want to tell me, or show me anything else you want to show me.
Well, I want to make sure I can get the property to code as soon as possible. I just need to have the right information so I do it correctly.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Anything else you want to tell me?
Does it not matter that the contractor has no involvement in here, that they were supposed to take care of this, and that the city continues to give them a permit or has allowed them to even work in Madeira? I mean, this is not something, maybe it's not the topic right now, but the contractor has been horrible, and I'm surprised that the city continues to allow them to actually construct work in here, because it's a menace to the city.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I've read this letter that you have that you've provided me with your attorney's position and your position on this. The only questions I'm here to answer and to make a determination on is whether there's been a violation of city code, whether that's the fault of the contractor or whatever. As the property owner, as a respondent, you're responsible for your property. So the limited issues I'm here to determine, like I said in my opening, is whether or not these three code provisions have been violated, and if so, then I'm going to give you a reasonable period of time to bring the property into compliance. And then if that doesn't happen, for whatever reason, then the city can ask for a lien to be put on the property. So right now, is there anything else you want to tell me about these three violations that we're here on today?
The pool does have to have some amount of water in it due to the structure, I guess, and the tide and the currents. So I don't know what that is. In other words, it's not going to be empty. I think he said it's 24 inches. So I want to make sure I understand that rule. And then I can take care of the grass across. I'm surprised they didn't do it, and hopefully get it right. I'd like to ask that you give me as much time as possible.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell me today?
No, I think that should do it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any cross-examination for the respondent, Mr. Trask?
I do have a couple of questions. Sir, were you aware of the fact that the silt fence was partially put up around your property over the weekend?
I have pictures, yeah, I was there.
Okay. And you would agree that it's probably about 50% of your property that's covered with the silt fence, somewhere around there?
Actually, it's more than 50. It's actually up against the neighbors as well and wraps around.
Okay.
There's actually a pile of it sitting next to the house to the right now that can be erected today.
Okay, that's the point I was going to try to get to is that you're in agreement that if it could be installed over the weekend, that you could put it on the rest of the property within the next couple of days.
Yeah, I was thinking actually the sod idea is pretty good. I didn't know.
Okay, so the next question I have for you is with regard to the pool fence, how much time do you think it would take to erect some posts around your pool and straighten up that fence so it's 42 or 48 inches high or whatever the requirement is?
Help my neighbors?
No, I need you to answer.
I can do it within an hour, probably.
All right, so fairly quickly then. Okay, and then with regard to the sand that's in the gutter, it wouldn't take you more than a day or so to shovel that sand out of the gutter and put it back on your property, correct?
I can do that, yeah.
All right. So overall, we're talking 2 or 3 days, then you'll be able to finish all the work to bring those three things into compliance. And wouldn't you think?
Yes, there would be. Can I ask, however?
You can ask me questions. So I just want to make sure that, that we give you a reasonable period of time. What do you think, with that line of questioning being completed, how much time do you think it'll take to get those three items into compliance?
Probably this week would be no problem.
So the end of the week, Friday maybe?
Yeah, I can make
okay.
I'm trying to
all right.
schedule.
That would be reasonable. Do you live locally?
I'm up in Law because of the. Yes, I do. I actually had to, out of frustration, find another home.
Okay. And so how long have you been living locally?
Well, I have a business here. I still have my residence in Orlando, so I bounce between the two, but very rarely over to Orlando.
All right. So it's fair to say then that you were probably by the job site on a fairly regular basis, and you would see what's going on over there, correct?
I can check on it when I get notice.
Okay. And you were by the property then since the 16th to see the signs hammered into your front yard with the post with the notice? Because
of Friday, getting a call from a contractor, yes, I went over there Saturday and picked it up.
Okay.
That's after Holden. I got a call from a contractor to tell me the new contractor found out about this. I didn't know anything about it.
Okay. All right. So I think we're all glad to hear that you're probably getting rid of this contractor.
Oh, yeah.
And you're getting someone else there to take care of the issues for you, and you won't have to be dealing with this any longer either, but the city is tired of dealing with it.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Okay, all right. I don't have any other questions, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Trask. All right, sir, have a seat. We're going to now open it up to public comment. If there are any members of the public that have information regarding this code violation, you can come forward and provide that information to me now. We generally limit this to 3 minutes, but if you need more time, I think we'll probably allow it today.
May I take my mask off?
Yes, please do. And tell me your name, sir, and your address.
Stephen D. Wallace.
Is it, yeah, spell your first name and last name for me.
Stephen, S-T-E-V-E-N, D for Dale, last name Wallace, W-A-L-L-A-C-E.
And what is your address, sir?
336 145th.
All right, I take it you're close in proximity to?
I'm the residency immediately west of the construction site.
All right, what would you like to tell me, sir?
Well, there's a couple things. One, I thank the city for taking a little bit of a proactive approach to this construction. The main issues that I have had, the number one was the pool. I'm aware that by code can't be more than 24 inches in depth. I heard testimony today that it was no more than 3 feet. If you'll look at this picture that was presented in evidence, I don't have the number on the bottom of the page. I believe that pool is minimum of 6 feet in the deep end. It may be more.
No way, I went in on it.
If you look at the picture on the very northeast corner, you can see the return flow pipes that are approximately 12 to 18 inches from the top of the pool. I think that equates to a little bit more than 3 feet of water. That's my main concern. An upcoming concern is going to be the level of grade of the property seems to have been built higher than the rest of the properties that are on 145th, including the seawall that I was once informed was red tagged and in violation. Is that true?
He can't answer questions for you, sir.
Okay. Can I have that as a question to be answered later on?
Why don't you just keep telling me, for example, you said you have observed the violation of the pool. So anything else you want to tell me about these violations that you've observed on the property? Remember, we're speaking about 3 specific violations right now. That's dirt and debris washing off the front of the property into the stormwater system, the issues with there not being that orange fence around the pool, and the overgrown yard, and also an accumulation of water in the pool. So you've told me about the pool. Is there anything you want to tell me about the other violations that you've observed or you've seen?
The 2 other violations that have been brought up here, I have witnessed. The silt fence has been put up in the past, and as soon as it gets put up, the next construction crew that comes on takes it down. Silt running into the drainage. The fence on the pool has, maybe at one time I've seen it with code. The most of the other time it's down. The property owner mentioned his attorney. Is that attorney's name on record?
Yes?
Okay. Would it be appropriate for me to ask if there's any other liens on that property?
You can approach the city about that. Right now, what I'm interested in is any knowledge you have about the particular code violations that are bringing us here today. And thank you. I've listened to your personal knowledge and observations, and I'm going to take that into consideration. So anything you want to tell me about your personal observations of the code enforcement violations?
Not at this time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Anyone else want to come forward from the public? Come on forward, sir, and give me your full name and address.
My name is Randy Keys, and I live at 356 145th. I'm on the east side of the property.
And just so I have your name, so it's Randy, is it Keys?
Correct, sir.
All right. Mr. Keys, what is it you want to tell me about these code enforcement violations that brings us here today?
Well, of course, I want to complain about the pool. And but the other thing I'd like to bring up is the discharge to the front, which I think is directly related to the grading of the property and also has to do with the 13.5-inch seawall that is a foot higher than the crown of the road. I have here an email that I sent to Lyndall Portal and Al Carrier, and copies were sent to Code Enforcement and Frank August 30th, 2019, about the mud flow going down the drainage. Okay, it was taken care of by the city. The city came out. What it was the water pipe had been burst by one of the contractors, and so water was coming in the mud flow. But that mud flow has been going on since at least August 30th. This whole construction thing's been going on since November 2018. We've had to deal with that pool full of water, with mosquitoes and everything else, and we'd like it corrected. You know, I also have a letter from the neighbors across the street. I don't know whether that's able to be submitted or not.
You can show it to Mr. Trask.
And so hopefully these things can be corrected.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much, Ms. Keys.
No objection.
All right, we'll go ahead and accept from public comment. I understand this is a letter from a potentially interested person that lives across the street from the party, or across the street from the property. Is that right, Mr. Trask?
It's a person, people by the name of Jody and Robert Stratton, 355 145th Avenue East. The property that we're talking is 352.
Okay, so certainly it sounds like they're within
A couple of houses.
a couple of houses. All right, I'll go ahead and accept this into evidence as public comment Exhibit 1. All right, any other members of the public want to come forward?
Do you want a copy of that email from?
I was going to just keep it in the record.
A copy of that email from August 30th, 2019, regarding the mud flow?
If you want to show it to me, go ahead. Just show it to Mr. Trask first, please.
This shows that it's been going on for quite some time.
Thank you. No objection.
All right, we'll accept into evidence as public comment Exhibit number 2, the email that Mr. Keys referenced, which appears to be an email sent from Mr. Keys to the City of Madeira Beach, or at least a representative of the City of Madeira Beach, talking about a flow of some sort of substance off of the property into the stormwater system area. All right. Since it's the city that has the burden of proof here, we're going to give Mr. Trask the opportunity to do his closing and tell me anything else you want to tell me, Mr. Trask.
Just to summarize, I believe that there's been sufficient competent substantial evidence to find that there were violations of sections 14-69 dealing with maintenance of exterior premises, specifically relating to water being allowed to collect in the pool, and it's a breeding ground for mosquitoes and other insects. Also believe there's substantial competent evidence to show that the city has met its burden relative to the illicit discharge of the sand in the street down to the stormwater system, and also section 110-719, the fencing around the pool, which has fallen down. You've heard testimony from the property owner that he believes that he could get the property into compliance by the end of the week. Friday is October 1st. We would ask on behalf of the city that you find a violation of those 3 code sections and give the property owner until 5 p.m. on Friday, October 1st to bring the property into compliance. Should he fail to bring the property into compliance, we'd ask that you would establish a fine of $250 a day for each day that the violations continue after that date.
All right. right, and I just want to make sure, one of the things, Mr. Trask, I want to be sure of is when I looked at the statement of violation request for hearing on page 30, I've got the right one here. Yeah, on page 38 of 61, I saw in the agenda packet or in the Exhibit 1, there's other areas where the property owner was specifically told what he needed to do to bring the property into violation. For example, on page 9 of 61, it has the specific actions that need to be taken to bring the property into compliance. But then when I saw page 38, it looks like that maybe it's just a Scrivener's error, typo, or something about obtaining after-the-fact permit. What is the city looking for to bring this property into compliance in the next 5 days? Is it what's set forth on?
So it would be section 14-69, paren 7, which would remove the water from the pool. The other section 1, Mr. Pinkert has testified it's in compliance. So 1469-1, it's in compliance. 14-61, paren 7, it is not in compliance. So they need to remove the water from the pool. Also in violation of section 70-197, the sand in the gutter, it needs to be removed from the gutter, and the silt fence or other mitigation needs to be put into place to bring that into compliance. And the last thing to bring the property into compliance would be to reestablish that fence around the pool so it's standing upright and can prevent children from getting into that pool area. Those were the three things that are now needed to bring the property into compliance. It's a little bit different from the original. The original violations, some of that have been brought into compliance over the weekend, and that's why we wanted to bring you up to date on that. So the garbage, trash, and debris section of the code that had been cited, Mr. Pinkert has testified that it's in compliance with that. So that's really the only change. And would also note that we're not moving forward with the second number 1 on the original notice of code violation under 1469, which starts out with a little 1, private property and rights of way shall be maintained with a herbaceous layer of sod, a ground cover material, or so on. We're not moving forward on that either. The property owner did not receive sufficient enough notice, in my mind, for that to move forward.
All right, thank you, Mr. Trask, I appreciate that. All right, based upon the evidence received to me and the admissions of the property owner, I am going to go ahead and find, as well as a public comment, that the 3 code provisions that were just referenced by Mr. Trask, 14-69, paragraph 77, section 70-197 and 110-719 are all in violation. So I do find there's 3 violations. Sir, the concern to the city and the reason that they're pushing for such a quick compliance deadline are the health and safety factors. And so anytime there's a situation where you've got a pool that's got 3 feet of water or more in it or somewhere around there that doesn't have any sort of fence, it's a very big concern to the city. So let me finish. So I'm going to go ahead and find 3 violations. The city wants you to comply by Friday. I'm going to give you 7 days. I'm going to give you till next Monday to bring this property into compliance. That's 7 days from today. So by 5 p.m. on Monday, you need to have the property brought into compliance. If you don't have the property brought in compliance, then it's going to be a $250 fine per day per violation. All right, so you need to get this property brought into compliance. What you need to do once you get it brought into compliance is reach out to Mr. Pinkert and tell him you brought the property into compliance so he can come out there and do an inspection and he can verify the property's been brought into compliance, okay? Go ahead.
One problem. It's a pool with no pumping. It rains. It's going to always have water in it.
You're going to have to work that out, sir. But what you need to do to bring it into compliance is get the water out of it that's in there now.
And the tide is equivalent to the bottom. It's open. So the tide water there always is going to be water in there.
You can work that out with the city. You can work that out with a contractor. I mean, this is not the only pool that's been constructed in the city of Madeira Beach. I'm sure they can give you some guidance on how this is supposed to happen. But we can't have, the city is not going to stand for just an open pool with water accumulating in the bottom of it that
Sure.
can get to be several feet deep. So
Plan is to put a sump pump. I'll put a sump pump in there and pump it out when it fills. But again, at some time, there's gonna be water in it. And if-
I can't tell you how to take care of your property, but what I can tell you is that what the city has told me, which is what I'm going to find, is that you have to remove the water from the pool. Okay, that will bring the property into compliance as to the first violation, the 14-69-7 violation.
For how long?
You can work with the city. You work with the city once you brought it into compliance, and you can try to work out these other details. But I can't give you legal advice, and I can't give you construction advice. All I can do is determine whether or not a code provision of the city has been violated, and based upon everything I've heard here today, there is substantial competent evidence, including the photographs, the testimony of your neighbors, and your own admissions, that there is this standing water in the pool, and so it needs to be dealt with, and that's all I can say is that there's been a violation, and that you have 7 days to fix that violation.
Okay, can I ask another question? Is the code 24 inches, if I'm not mistaken? And if I do have a pump and it's circulating, it won't be standing water, it will be transition water. In other words, there won't be standing water in there, it'll be pumped out.
What I would encourage you to do, we've got one more matter on the agenda, so we're going to go ahead and move on. I would encourage you to stay here after this hearing and ask Mr. Pinkert or Mr. DeSantis if they're available to answer some of these questions you have, because code enforcement wants you to be in compliance. That's
Sure,
what they
I do
want
too.
more than anything else. So if you want to just stay and wait till after our next hearing, which shouldn't take very long, then you can, if Mr. Pinkert and Mr. DeSantis are available, you can ask them these questions, and they might be able to provide you some
Okay,
guidance.
and you do understand the problem?
I hear what you're saying.
All
All right. Okay, let's go on to the next case, which is case number 2020.1265, 15401 Gulf Boulevard. Mr. Trask?
So we're submitting into evidence the affidavit of compliance for the property, which is located at 15401 Gulf Boulevard. It is an affidavit that is signed by Mr. Pinkert and notarized, saying the property was in compliance as of August 18th, and we're asking that you accept the affidavit of compliance and enter an order finding the property in compliance as of that date.
All right, anything else on this one?
No, sir.
All right, I'll go ahead and enter an order of compliance and get that sent around. Anything else before me today?
That's all the city has. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. Anything else, gentlemen? All right, that'll conclude today's hearing.
Thank you.